Architecture is not just about buildings. It is about humans trying to survive, trying to believe, and trying to express who they are. From simple shelters made of mud and stone to glass towers touching the sky, architecture exists because humans always had a problem to solve. Every era had a challenge and architecture was the answer. Today, we will see how architecture evolved, not as styles but as solutions to human needs. This is the story of architecture, and this is the story of us. Welcome back to Words and Vision. In this video, we will travel through thousands of years to understand how architecture changed with time, society, and technology. We will see why buildings look the way they do and what problems they were trying to solve. Let's start at the beginning. Early humans faced one main problem: survival. They needed protection from rain, heat, cold, and wild animals. So they built simple shelters using wood, mud, stone, and whatever was available nearby. These buildings were not beautiful, they were practical. But as people settled in groups, another problem appeared. Humans started asking questions. What happens after death? Who controls nature? Why does the sun rise and fall? Architecture changed to answer these questions. In ancient Egypt, pyramids were built for pharaohs. The Egyptians believed that Pharaoh was a god on earth. The pyramids were designed to protect the body after death and help the soul travel to the afterlife. Their size showed power, control, and belief in eternity. In Mesopotamia, people built ziggurats, large step temple towers. These structures were built higher and higher because people believed their gods lived in the sky. The ziggurat was seen as a bridge between humans on earth and gods above. In places like Stonehenge, architecture helped humans understand time. The stones were placed carefully to align with the sun and seasons. This helped early societies track farming cycles and rituals. In this era, architecture became more than shelter, it became symbolic. As civilizations grew, cities became larger and more complex. People faced a new problem: how to organize society. The ancient Greeks believed the world followed rules. They believed beauty came from balance and logic. So they designed buildings using mathematics. Greek architecture focused on symmetry, proportion, and harmony. Temples like the Parthenon were built carefully, so every part felt balanced and calm. For the Greeks, architecture was a reflection of a perfect world. The Romans inherited these ideas, but they faced a different challenge. The Roman Empire was massive. They needed buildings that worked for everyday life. So they focused on engineering. They invented arches, which could carry heavy loads, walls, which allowed wide spaces, strong concrete, which made construction faster. This allowed Romans to build amphitheaters for entertainment, public baths for hygiene, roads and aqueducts for transport and water. Architecture became a tool for daily living. In this era, buildings were both beautiful and useful. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Europe became unstable. There were invasions, wars, and uncertainty. People lived in fear. Architecture responded with protection. Castles were built with thick stone walls, small windows, and defensive towers. These buildings were designed to survive attacks, not to look elegant. But faith also played a huge role during this time. Religion was central to people's lives. Churches and cathedrals were built to honor God and inspire belief. Gothic architecture introduced new ideas. Pointed arches reduced weight. Tall structures reached towards the sky. Stained glass filled interiors with colored light. The light created an emotional atmosphere. People felt small inside these buildings, and that was intentional. The goal was to make people feel closer to God. Architecture now solved two problems: physical safety, spiritual meaning. Over time, people began to question old ideas. They wanted knowledge, science, and reason. This period was called Renaissance, meaning rebirth. Architects studied ancient Greek and Roman buildings again. They believed good design should be logical and clear. Buildings were designed using geometry, mathematics, proportion, and domes became popular because they represented balance and perfection. Architecture shifted focus from heaven back to humans. Buildings were designed for people, their scale, their movement, and their experience. This era balanced art and science. The Industrial Revolution changed everything. Machines transformed how people live and work. Cities grew rapidly. Factories appeared everywhere. The problem now was speed and scale. Traditional materials like stone and wood were slow and heavy. New materials solved this problem. Iron, steel, and glass allowed buildings to span longer distances, rise higher, be built faster. Structures like iron bridges and large train stations became possible. The Crystal Palace in London showed this new power. It was made almost entirely of glass and metal and could never have been built before this era. Architecture entered the age of technology. With rapid growth came overcrowding and chaos. Cities needed efficient solutions. Architects asked a new question: how can buildings work better? Modern architecture answered with simplicity. Decoration was removed. Design became clean and honest. Buildings focused on function, efficiency, logic, and steel frames allowed skyscrapers to rise without thick walls. Glass facade brought light into workspaces. The idea was simple: form follows function. Modern buildings were designed like machines. Over time, people felt modern buildings were too cold. They wanted emotion, culture, and identity back. Architecture responded again. Contemporary buildings experiment with curves, bold shapes, digital design. Buildings like the Guggenheim Museum Bilbao use form to create emotion and movement. Today, architecture solves many challenges at once: climate change, sustainability, technology, and cultural identity. We build smart buildings, green cities, and even 3D printed homes. Architecture is constantly adapting. Architecture is not just about buildings, it is about how humans solve problems over time. Every era shows what we feared, what we believed, and what we hoped for. From ancient shelters to modern cities, architecture is our history written in space. And this story is still being written.